If you're hiring the right people that build your culture, that have alignment with the values that you have as a team, that are going to lift the people around them, and then if you facilitate an opportunity where they have a voice, they feel valued, they have a manager that listens to them. I mean, the number one reason people leave a company is because of a relationship with their direct manager. If you can fulfill those needs, you're not going to have to fire fast because you got the right people.
Today's episode is brought to you by one of our show partners, UpFrog.
UpFrog is the OG when it comes to pricing transparency online. They find system replacement leads through paid ads and have developed an entire system to drive those hard-to-find system replacement opportunities, nurture the leads, and book them into sold systems before your team arrives to help you grow your business.
Learn more at upfrog.io.
If you're a contractor with multiple CSRs, check out this Service Business Mastery podcast partner, Lace.ai. Lace uses cutting-edge AI to analyze your phone calls, uncover lost revenue opportunities, and empower your CSRs to convert more leads. You can significantly increase revenue without spending extra on marketing or hiring by using Lace.ai to boost your conversion rates. For the first time, you can gain deep insights into customer needs at scale with minimal effort. Elevate your call center to achieve industry-leading booking rates and revenue. Visit www.lace.ai to book a demo today. Now back to the show.
Yo, Joshua, really fast, I want to talk about online scheduling for the trades and how they should be affordable, effective, and easy to manage. Let's take a really quick second here and talk to share a little bit about the latest group of experts that we've teamed up with, Autobot.ai. Our team of industry experts has developed a best-in-class scheduling app that seamlessly integrates with your CRM. Every booked job goes directly into your software and becomes one of our advanced marketing analytics, which is really cool. We can automatically select the marketing campaign of your choice based on how the customer came to your site.
Yeah, Tersh, those industry-leading analytics tells you everything that you're going to want to know about your lead, where they came from, what they did before scheduling, and what page they converted on, plus other things. On average, about 75% of people who start a booking with our app complete it, but we'll give you a more granular reporting that shows conversion rates based on marketing source and medium to help improve your marketing efforts.
So wait a minute, what about the other 25% that didn't book? How do you as a consumer deal with your current scheduler helping you to reach out to those lost leads?
It's a great question, Tersh. So is when we say we help you book more jobs, we mean it. So we'll help you instantly send a text message to customers who didn't complete their booking, helping you to keep the conversation going and your schedule full.
So honestly, with no contracts, affordable monthly rates, you really don't have anything to lose. And so it's a great program to try out. And if you use SBM, when you go to sign up for it, you'll actually save $1,500 on the setup fees. So honestly, give it a shot. Tell us what you think.
Today's episode is powered by Rilla Voice.
Rilla has taken those cumbersome, time-consuming ride-alongs and streamlined the entire process by leveraging AI technology to do dozens or hundreds of ride-alongs virtually every single day.
They also provide you, the owner or manager, with the top performers KPI metrics designed easily for you to coach your team into rock stars.
Schedule a demo today at www.rilla.com.
Hello, everyone out there in podcast world. Hope you're having a wonderful day. You're listening to or watching the Service Business Mastery podcast. I am one of your hosts, Tersh Blissett, sitting physically next to my co-host, Joshua Crouch. And we are at Rilla Masters in Vegas 2025. And we have the world famous Mr. Dustin Van
Orman. That was close.
Van Orman?
Van Orman.
Jeez,
I tell you what.
Good Lord, Tersh.
My whole
just
life.
Give up. Let him introduce himself.
So, who are we here with today?
Yeah. Could you just tell us your name, please, and spell it out?
my whole life we've had problems with the name thing. It's got a space between Van and Orman. And nobody ever gets it right. So I go to check in somewhere and they've always got it screwed up. And I'm searching for I get it.
Okay. So you're letting them off the hook easy, but that's okay.
Well, I gotta be nice on this, right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So you are, tell us your backstory and who you are for those who are listening to the show or watching and they don't know who you are and live under a rock.
Okay. How far back do you want to go?
Honestly, as far back as you'd like to go, honestly.
Okay. Well, let's go back a little ways. I'm a heating and air conditioning technician by trade, but I've always been an entrepreneur. if I look way back, I'm presenting later today, and it's kind of fun because I actually have my parents here.
Really?
And I tell you what, I'm 48 years old.
Okay.
Hold on a second, 47, almost 48. Give myself
Don't
a
age
few months
yourself
here,
any
right?
more than
Yeah.
you have to.
And I just live in Utah, which isn't that far of a drive. So my mom and dad were like, well, we'll just come down, we'll hit the pool and hang out, and we'll come watch you speak.
No pressure.
And I speak all the time, but now I got my mom and dad coming into the room. I'm thinking, man, but here's the funny thing is it doesn't matter how old you are. You still want mom and dad to be proud of you, right?
Oh yeah.
So I'm actually really honored that they're coming to hang out with me. But so I'm taking the story back a little further than normal. I'll be talking about this in my presentation, but since they're here, I'm thinking down memory lane, and it took me way back to when I was just a kid. As a kid, my parents, they owned and operated some apartment complexes.
Okay.
And so I remember countless times of holding the flashlight for dad, or handing him tools while he's fixing a bathtub, or changing out a water heater, or just a number of different things. In fact, one of my passions as a as a young teenager was motorcycles. I subscribed. This will really age me, but I subscribed to the Dirt Bike magazine, right? The motorcycle magazine. I love getting that in the mail.
Oh yeah.
And I asked my mom, I said, Mom, when can I buy a motorcycle? How old do I have to be? She basically told me, son, you're never buying a motorcycle. And so, but then I was walking around the apartments with my dad doing some routine maintenance, and there was this old motorcycle leaning against a post in the backyard, and I figured out who owned it, and I said, what do you want for that? So mom told me no, never, and at 12 years old, I bought my first motorcycle.
That's hilarious.
And but what happened to me after I got this motorcycle, I rode it for a while, and then I realized I like to fix them. And I kind of caught this bug, and I would actually look for motorcycles. This is before I couldn't even drive, right?
Yeah.
But I'd look for old motorcycles leaning against somebody's wood pile. I'd knock on their door and ask them what they're doing with it, because obviously they're doing nothing.
Right.
And I'd mow their lawn for 3 times and push this old motorcycle home, fix it up, and I'd sell it.
That's funny.
And I'd make some money. And so I love to make money. I used to knock doors, sell leaf raking, make my friends go do all the work, collect the money, and give them a little bit of it.
Entrepreneur. That's
So,
what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So I always had this desire to be ambitious.
So let me ask you about that. Do you feel like there's a direct correlation between tinkering with your hands as a child or a youth and being a really good technician?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I found that so I'm a car guy. We have 12 cars, and I have all my car guy buddies tend to be, in the HVAC or electrical fields, and some are welders, but a lot of them are in the HVAC world. And I thought that maybe it's just because we all kind of grew up in the same circle, so we all kind of became HVAC techs. And honestly, my backstory, I went off to college and then came back. I went in the military and came back, but ended up in the HVAC world. And I feel like some of the best technicians that I ever hired were in that car scene of some sort.
The whole reason I chose HVAC, working with my dad, he taught me how to do remodeling and plumbing and some basic electric and changing this and doing that, but he never taught me HVAC. It wasn't his thing. And so I was presented an opportunity in the year 2000.
Okay.
Person in our neighborhood had a small business working out of a garage. He said, hey, do you want to come to a new construction HVAC project with me? I said, yeah, cool, let's check it out. So I went and tried it once, and he offered me a job. But I remember the first day on the job, I was with my trainer. There was this ductwork transition that needed to happen up in the ceiling where there's some strange measurements going from this size to this size. And honestly, my trainer didn't want to touch it.
Really?
He's like, if you want to do that, you can try and figure it out. I'm like, I looked up at and I'm like, yeah. And so I cut all the ductwork, I did all the measurements, I put it all together. It looked great. I'm like, yeah, that was fun. And my boss came in that day and gave me a raise that day. Like the first day on the job, I was like, holy cow, if you can do that, you're a keeper. Anyway, that's what interested me, though, is I'd learned how to do a whole bunch of other stuff, but never HVAC. And then when I started to understand the diagnostics, I mean, you're working with vacuum pressures and electronics, and you got to learn the sequence of how that equipment operates and the pressure. It's just really cool stuff.
It is. And once it clicks, it's like that aha moment, and you're like, oh, this is cool. Like it can be frustrating up to that point, but then once it clicks, you're like, oh, I'm on top of the world right now. Yeah.
Well, I could see where the childhood thing, because I never took to that stuff. And you know this. You know I'm not handy.
Not at all.
Like
Not even slightly.
While she moved, she was sitting over there. I've shared this story many times, but I've been fired from like hanging pictures in our house.
Oh, boy.
Like, yeah, I put a few too many holes in the wall, and she got sick of it. So.
Yeah.
But I never took to it, and I can see where people like that like to tinker that stuff. That just their brain likes figuring those things out. But that's always the best technicians we ever hire. Like we brought people that just like to tinker but didn't know anything about HVAC and as technicians. But that's why I've always respected the hell out of people that can fix the stuff that I can't do. You know, it's a nice marriage to have the people that can do the things that you can't, because it makes you kind of stay in your own separate lanes a little
Sure.
bit. You don't over. I don't overstep on the technician side. I'm like, well, if that's the way it needs to be done, that's the way it needs to be done, because I don't know.
Yeah. So tell us, let's move forward into like not necessarily present time, but a little bit more in the future.
All right. So in the year 2000, so what's that, 24 years ago, I decided 25 years ago almost, right? It is 25.
Yeah,
Holy
it's
cow.
2020.
I decided to get into HVAC. It was exciting. I loved what I was doing, but I still had that entrepreneur itch.
Yeah.
I worked with the company for about 4 years, and I had an interesting experience happen where, and this is what made my direction change for a little while. I knocked on a customer's door. I'd worked up in the business to where I was helping manage things. I was bidding all the plans. I was going out and doing all the sales appointments. The company was growing. We'd moved from his garage into a larger location. We were known in our valley as being the top company to call for service or new construction.
Okay, I was going to ask, you're doing new construction,
We
talking
were
about
doing
bidding.
both.
Okay.
Yep. But I knocked on this customer's door one time. It had such a profound impact. I can tell you his name is, well, maybe I shouldn't say it, but his name's Randy.
Mm-hmm.
I can drive you right to his house and show you where he lives, because when I knocked on his door, he answered the door and he was on the phone with somebody. And they must have asked who's at the door. And he said, well, it's just the service guy.
Mm.
Oh my gosh, he struck a nerve so profound that I quit my
That you
job
remember
that
25 years later.
25 years later. And I thank Randy, because it helped me to go on a journey of discovery, only to realize how much power we have in the trades.
Yeah.
Obviously, coming full circle, I got back in, but I jumped out for a while.
What did you do?
Oh, to make it really short for time, I quit that, and I you might laugh a little bit at this, but I wanted to learn how to operate my own business better, so I went and bought the cheapest business I could find. Just happened to be a hair salon.
Oh, that's not an oxymoron.
Well,
Like,
that's a fun conversation with three bald guys
Three bald
sitting here.
guys sitting there talking about a hair salon.
But it was such a great experience, because I went and I learned how to dabble in marketing and figure out how to get the phone to ring, and I learned how to treat employees, and it's a hair salon, so mostly women employees, and they have emotional needs, and just being honest. And so it was such a good experience. I kept it for about a year. I learned how to operate that small business. I sold it and made a little bit of money, and
Oh, that's
went
good.
on to the next thing. The next thing, we decided to I had a business partner. We teamed up and decided to do a magazine publication. We had no idea what we were doing.
That's a daunting task.
Right. But we stayed in the realm of construction because we were familiar with it. So
Yeah.
we went out and we produced a full color, perfect bound, very nice magazine from just a idea. We printed a flyer and we went knocking doors. We sold our marketing space to contractors to advertise to consumers.
Okay.
And so we were still in construction, just a different angle.
Yeah.
Did that for a few years, sold that business, and then of all things, we decided to go open a restaurant in North Carolina. It just looked like a good spot on the
Now,
map.
where were you from? Like, where were you?
Utah.
I love that.
So you're
It
from
just looked like a good spot on the map.
Seriously.
so you're from Utah. You're going to go across the country.
Across the
And
country.
go open a restaurant.
Okay.
Like I say, I was on this journey of discovery because
That's
I
good.
just,
Yeah.
I was not satisfied with that label that was placed on me. It put me inside of such a big box I had to get out.
What brought you back to the trades then?
The honest answer?
Yeah.
I called my mom and dad on Christmas one morning, or just before Christmas, and I come from a big family, and everybody's at mom and dad's house, laughing and joking and eating and opening presents and having a great time, and I'm
you're
out
across
in
the
North
country.
Carolina,
Yeah.
with my little family, of course. But I just, that whole missing out thing, I didn't want to miss out, and
You had some FOMO
so Utah
going
was
on.
home. Yeah,
Yeah. And so
So
you
I-
went back home and got back into the trades?
yeah. Let's just be really honest. I didn't like doing a restaurant.
Yeah.
It wasn't my thing.
I mean,
It's not
honestly,
the best spot.
between HVAC or any kind of the trades and restaurants, you're talking about two of the highest
Yeah.
filled businesses that there are out there.
Yeah, I'm not.
So
I can't say it was a mistake because you learn something from everything you do. And there was certainly value in it for me, but I was happy when that part of my journey was over. And so I moved back to Utah, got back into construction. When you relocate, you got to figure out what you're doing next. And that was my fallback. I knew it really well. I've had experience in all areas of construction. I can build a house top to bottom and do it well.
Yeah.
So I got back into it. Now, this was back in 2009, 10, that realm when things were challenging in our
it's
economy.
a weird time.
And so I said yes to everything. I was doing concrete, roofing, basements, you name it. I was just saying, yeah, I can do that. If I didn't know how to do it, I'd go learn it that night, come back the next day and do it, right?
And
this was before YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. This
Yeah.
is before YouTube Academy.
Yep. But it's funny. I got that mentality from my grandpa. Fun story. Before he passed away, he was sharing stories with the family, and he liked to tell this story about how this was back in the Great Depression era, and work was scarce, and he was on a construction crew, and the foreman came to a group of individuals, several people, and they needed to have a staircase built, and he asked the people that were there if anyone knew how to build a staircase. And nobody raised his hand. And so my grandpa raised his hand. He didn't know what he was doing. And he said, yeah, I can build you a staircase. And he went out and quickly figured it out by asking some talented people and came back within a day or two. And he built the guy a staircase.
Wow.
That's cool.
That
Figure
is
it
a cool-
out.
that is a
Yeah,
good story.
you don't have to
get it
fake it
done.
till you make it. You just have to be willing to go put in the work to do something and
and learn.
advance
Or willing to
yourself.
step outside your comfort
bet.
zone,
Yeah.
really.
Yep.
So let me ask you about this. You've shared in the past like an instance of like a possible near-death situation.
You heard that.
Yeah, could you go into a little bit of detail there?
All right. I've had several. Which one do you want? I think the one you're referring to, I think I shared one other time on a podcast. Christmas Eve, 1997. So we're going back a ways. I had this brilliant idea. There's a little bit of brilliance with all insanity, right?
Yeah.
I had this brilliant idea. I enjoy the occasional hunting expedition.
Yeah.
We were going to go out and do a little bit of duck hunting, and in Utah, when it gets cold and the water freezes on the lake, the ducks are all out in the middle on open water. And so we thought, well, that's no big deal. I mean, the ducks are there. We can get out there. What's our plan? So we took, the idea was to take these, have you seen the fishermen that go out in their float tubes and they got their waders on, they're dangling down in the water catching fish?
Yep.
We said, well, man, if we just take our float tubes and we strap those on with suspenders so that we're kind of fully suited, ready to go, if we fall in, it's no big deal. We
It
just
makes
float.
sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, you might float upside down there.
Yeah, well, maybe. So I was, what was I, about 18 at the time, 19? I can't remember. We were, let's call it, I was still a teenager.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
have that adult
We weren't
brain yet.
adult yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had our float tubes. We're in our waders. We brought like hammers, so if we did fall in, we could claw ourselves out and stuff.
Well,
And
that's smart. That's
yeah.
some forward
So you at least
thinking.
did,
We
you
planned
did
this.
prepare.
We-
It
well,
wasn't just
yeah,
like,
sure.
dumb kids. It's like, I'm just going to go out there with nothing and hope for the best.
still dumb kids thinking we're
Yeah.
smart.
You at least put some thought into it.
So we go out on the ice and we're walking out there and we get out. We actually made it to the open water without any problem. And we set up our decoys and we're waiting for the ducks to come in. And if you're from a cold environment, you know when those days are so bitter cold. Well, you know when you guys from a cold area?
No, I'm
I'm born
Savannah.
and raised in Wisconsin,
Okay,
so I'm
Wisconsin.
familiar.
So you know those days when you breathe through the nostrils and you swear your nose is just freezing together?
Yeah, it feels like it
Yeah.
immediately.
It was that cold.
No.
And it wasn't fun. Duck hunting was terrible. So we packed it up and we're heading out of there. And I did one thing that probably saved my life. I tied the bag of decoys with a little string to my brother's float tube. Kevin, he was with me at the time, and he was just dragging them behind, and I was carrying some other equipment, whatever else. And we're walking out of there, and we hear the ice start to crack. We're like, okay, it might happen.
Get ready.
So,
Yeah.
Of course, what happens is we fall through the ice. And we shimmy our butts back up on the ice and we keep walking. It was no big deal. We're brilliant. Our plan worked, right? That's how we're feeling. We start walking a little further and then we fall in again and we get out again. And then we fall in again. And we're like, okay, well, this is going to take us a little while, but that's all right because we're prepared. We're going to get out of this thing. The one thing we couldn't or didn't think to plan for is exactly what happened. We fall through the ice again, and there was at least 50 feet of ice between. It was Kevin, my brother, Danny, not my brother, but it might as well be.
Yeah.
Just lifelong friend and my brother, the three of us there. And there's about 50 feet of ice between us. And we're working to get back on top again. And then I realized something was wrong. I was getting deeper in the water. My
Were your
tube that I was
waders-
floating in actually
Oh.
punctured from the ice.
Oh no.
And I was sinking.
Oh shoot.
Oh man.
And so we're in freezing temperatures.
Terrible.
And before I know
Hypothermia.
it, yeah, before I know it, I've got one toe on the ice and my elbow on this ice shelf, and I'm basically about to go under. And there's still a sheet of ice between me and them. And if you ever come to visit there at Any Hour, and I invite anyone who wants to come, we're doing the Any Hour tour experience all the time for people. But in my office, I have a shotgun hanging on the wall, and it is beat to death. Because at one point in this conversation, I yelled over to Kevin and Danny. I said, guys, stop, wait, just listen for a second. I said, this is what's going on, and if you can't make it to me soon, I'm going to die.
Oh no.
I'm done. And I was holding on by a thread.
Wow.
That's a big
That's-
moment in
yeah,
life.
That,
That
gives
is
you
a
chills
huge
right
moment.
there.
It was a big moment. And so that shotgun hanging on my wall is the gun my brother used to break the ice, and it absolutely destroyed the gun. And that's, I like guns. I've got several.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many I have.
Yeah,
all
right. That's when you know you have a gun passion.
That's the most valuable gun I own.
Oh, I believe
Because it is a constant reminder of the experience I had that brought me to a point in life where I didn't know if I was going to be here tomorrow.
That's crazy.
And there's so much more to the story, but I don't want to take the whole time on my story. But long story short, we made it out, obviously. It was crazy. The first thing that happened, this airplane starts flying overhead, and they're waving at us. We'd been in the water up to our
Freezing.
armpits
Yeah.
for 2 hours.
Oh jeez.
And this airplane's just
freezing.
waving at us
And you
because
go
they
like-
wanted to see if we were alive.
Oh.
And they're just seeing if we respond. It was crazy. Next thing we know, we see this cloud of snow coming toward us. They're coming out on a hovercraft. And then the helicopter lands. And then the air, like it
turns into
it
a
was
big
wild.
ordeal.
Yeah, so they drag us back to the ambulance. They get us naked, right? And it's funny because we're freezing to death.
Oh, sure.
Of course, the ambulance shows up is full of women. It's women medics. And so they hand us all these towels and blankets, and all we can do is cover our private parts. Like we're just terrified that we're with all these women.
Especially at
They're
that
gonna see
age.
something.
Right.
There's not a
Well,
confidence
we
level.
were just in the ice
yeah,
water.
yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
I might have been a little
oh
shriveled
my
up a little
God, that's hilarious. Yeah.
But we made it back to the
Yeah, I
hospital.
could
They
see that.
warmed us up. We had hypothermia, but we made it home for Christmas morning.
Dude, yeah, you're lucky. So I assume this was around Christmas time when this happened.
Christmas Eve.
Oh, this was
we
Christmas
made
Eve.
headline
Oh,
news. Christmas Eve,
oh, yeah.
1997. I'll find the article if you want it.
Yeah, it
I
turned
love
into
that.
a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's be honest. I mean, we're telling the fun side of the story, but this
was
was
terrifying.
this was a spiritual experience. I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely.
this was
yeah.
you want the whole story, come hang out with me. I'll tell it all to you. But it was a life-changing experience. And I think sometimes we need those things to kind of create a pivot in our direction in life. And it created a change, a pivot for me that furthered my my path.
I believe it. Yeah. You very easily not been here
Oh yeah.
having this conversation.
Yep.
That's kind of, I mean, it's terrifying also at the same time.
Yeah.
It makes you really appreciate everything in life for
It
sure.
does.
So with that being said, I'd like to hear about, so you have you're kind of known for, well, very entertaining. I remember several years ago finding you on YouTube and your team on YouTube but you have a very, like a 90% employee retention rate. Is that accurate?
It's
accurate. Yeah. Can you go into kind of how that even happens? And I mean, is it because this morning we heard Tommy Mello talk about, hire slow, fire fast type thing, that mentality. And then like he gave a couple ideas on how to hire the right people. What's your take on that?
Yeah. I think this is key to understand. Tommy's comments about, firing fast if you need to, it's relevant.
Yeah.
There are times when you see that somebody is not the right fit for your company.
Yeah.
If they're not coachable, if they're bringing the
how do
rest
you
of your
know?
culture down, then yeah,
Oh.
you should
So
make that decision, right? But the key here is in the hiring. If you're hiring the right people that build your culture, that have alignment with the values that you have as a team, that are going to lift the people around them, And then if you facilitate an opportunity where they have a voice, they feel valued, they have a manager that listens to them. I mean, the number one reason people leave a company is because of a relationship with their direct manager. If you can fulfill those needs, you're not going to have to fire fast because you got the right people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. How do you avoid hiring the people who are culture killers whenever because what I've found personally is the culture killers are also very manipulative, and they're good at getting in the door because they know the right things to say. They know how to act when they're around the right people. And then all of a sudden they're backbiting after the fact, and you're good. They're the one instigating the cooler talk and stuff like that.
I think one of the challenges people face is they spend so much time running their business, recruiting is an afterthought. And so they're not putting the real investment hours it takes to find the best people into recruiting. They're only recruiting when they absolutely need somebody. And so what happens, they create this need to hire whoever comes in the door quickly because they have an empty position, where if they were putting in the effort all the time and interviewing people every single day as needed, right? They wouldn't be waiting until it was a crisis and they had to hire the next guy to come in.
You got some mirror foggers.
Yeah, and I think obviously, you guys have grown tremendously and have many partners all over the country. I've seen the map when we were at your guys' shop and stuff. I think sometimes when you're smaller, that fear of getting rid of someone because now you as the owner or the manager are going to have to do their job too until you hire a replacement, because you only have, let's say, most shops bring 5, 10, 15 people.
Yeah,
So you're going to have to, most people are, they're wearing multiple hats. So there's that fear of, well, if I get rid of them now, someone else is going to have to take those calls, or someone else is going to have to do the overflow answering or the marketing or whatever that looks like. And I think there's a fear of that. But we've had some client success managers we've kept on way too long. We tried working with them, and I'm like, they'll get it eventually, and they just don't get it, and they're not doing the right things. And then the best thing we did was get rid of them and deal with the pain, the immediate pain, which is like, okay, everyone's going to have to jump in here. But how have you seen that with, obviously you guys you've been at NER for a long time and seen the growth and have transitioned this, and you probably talk to a lot of business owners who go through this. What kind of advice do you give them when they're feeling that they have to get rid of someone, they don't want to deal with that pain?
Hello, home service professionals. Do you want to maximize your marketing budget? Then you need to be using call tracking from CallRail. Let's say you noticed a spike in new leads this month. To find out what's driving them, you just log into your CallRail dashboard. Is my new Facebook ad outperforming my other ads? Or is paid search knocking it out of the park? Or maybe it's time to retire those newspaper ads. Since CallRail assigns a unique phone number to each of my marketing efforts, I know where my best leads come from and which efforts to scrap. CallRail shows you your most cost-effective marketing channels so you can get back to business. Go to callrail.com/SBMpod and try it for free.
You're bringing multiple thoughts to mind, and I like what you said first about your story, that you worked with them and worked with them and worked with them, and then realized, and maybe you realized earlier and you might have waited a little too long, but we want to believe in people. That's human nature. We want to have
Especially if
confidence
you
that
like
we
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to help them succeed, and that's okay. It's good to want, and it is good to help and encourage, and you do have to make that judgment when time is right to get rid of the person if needed.
How do we
right?
know when that time is?
It's
$1 million
probably
question.
more like an experience thing, right? Like at some point, you just, after doing, you have to take your lumps like anything in life, and you have that experience. It's like, now's the time. I just know it's the time. Like, you just know it's right.
Let me shift thought just a little bit about that. I think it would happen less often if more companies were investing more time and resource in leadership development. What I mean by that is, maybe you've heard this before, I know have, where a manager might come and say, hey, so-and-so decided to quit, or I really want to fire so-and-so because they're my hardest person to manage, right? Well, let's just be really honest. I would probably be that hardest person to manage.
Oh, I'm definitely that person.
Yeah, and you're a high performer. That's why you're doing what you're doing, and you would be hard to manage. But so often our leaders in our business just don't have the training to know how to communicate with the high performers, and so they're hard to manage. And so their job is easier if that person leaves. That doesn't mean it's
like
the right decision, though.
reining in a stallion versus kicking a mule, you know?
Correct.
And s-
Yeah, the thoroughbreds in the horse industry that cost the big bucks are the high performers that are super hard to manage.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a,
It's the same in our industry, right? And so if people would invest more into leadership development, because so often what happens is we see a technician with some talent, right? We see that they're doing some good, and so we say, hey, we want you to be our service manager. That's
Oh,
great.
we've talked about this.
we talk
Yeah.
about
I've
this
had
all
this.
the time.
Yeah, we literally did that at the last HVAC company I worked at.
That's how I became service manager, and I would adamantly tell you, do not do that.
Well, do not do it unless
Yeah.
that's the thing is if you're going to move somebody from the field into a management position, that's fine. But don't just throw them into a position and not help them become the leader that they should be.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
tell
a lot
you,
of skills. It's a lot of different skills there because
Absolutely.
like someone that's great at managing themselves and then managing other people is a totally different skill set. And I think we take that for granted. It's like, well, if they do good for themselves, they can probably figure it out for someone else, right?
Because whenever I was thrown in that position, two things I think. Well, one of the things made me successful in that position, and that's the fact that when I got thrown into that position, I was getting paid flat rate. So like that's how I got paid. So however many build hours I sold, that's how many hours I got paid. And so like I was the highest generator, which was a terrible idea. Like I was by far the highest generator by double the numbers, and I could manage myself. Nobody had to call me and ask me to do anything. When it was on call time, I just took the calls, and there was never any pushback. But so I was the worst person to put in that position, with the exception of like I was a rule follower. And so Fred, the owner of the company, he takes this binder. It felt like an 8-inch binder, and it was from BDR. You heard of BDR? Okay. And it was like, these are the processes that you're going to follow. And I was like, all right, fine.
Did you read that book?
Front to back.
Okay.
And that's and people,
And that was your training.
that was my training. And I got flown to Seattle, Washington, and they were like, why do you follow our processes so well? I was like, those are the only processes I know.
Yeah.
So it was either follow your processes or do nothing at all. And that's that's the reason why I had success as that service manager and eventually the GM. It was a step-by-step guide that I was able to follow it. And any question I had, I could follow that process. But any other technician that had any premonition of like what they should do if they had friends in the field, I don't know that it's a wise decision to do.
Well, if you do it, and we've hired most of our managers from
The field.
And I'll tell you this, I work with the same team of managers that have been there with me the entire time I've been there. 14 years, we haven't lost a manager.
Wow.
But what we've done is every single week since I've been on the leadership team there, I've gone to a leadership development training every single week for 1 hour. Not a manager meeting. You have your manager meeting where you're running the business. You have to have a development leadership meeting every single week to make managers strong leaders.
Is that something
what
you guys
is
do
that?
internally, or is that something you guys find external sources, or is it a mix?
We've done it the whole time, as long as I can remember, where we're developing our leaders.
What does it pertain to? Like, what is that like? Because I mean, we have employees, we have team members ourselves, and like, obviously, we could do better as leaders, and we don't have an internal leadership.
Till next week.
Yeah, next week.
Right.
Well, we'll be at Epic next week.
We'll be at Epic, so maybe the week after
one.
that.
Well, we'll hang out while we're there.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be complicated. A simple model. Go and pick some of the foundational leadership books, some of the ones that we will start new managers with. How to Win Friends and Influence People, because we're trying to teach them how to communicate.
Yeah.
7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Good to Great. Those are some of our 3 foundational books.
Now, do you require they read those books?
This is the magic. They're not going to read. Did you read any books in high school when they told you to? I didn't.
No.
Right?
Cliff notes.
Bring them to the class. It's an hour long. Somebody needs to be in charge. We will get everyone a copy of the book, and we'll order the Audible copy as well. And we'll press play and let them follow along. But here's the trick. You're not just going to book club. If you're showing up just to read a book and not have some action, don't bother. But discover a principle in leadership as a team. The person in charge is going to need to determine a homework assignment, and we're going to take those real principles back to our departments and practice something new every single week. Now, the key is when you come back to the next training, you're going to report on your experience, and the whole team is going to report in front of each other what their successes and
Accountability.
failures were, right?
It's an
And
accountability group. Yeah.
it's not about getting through the book.
Yeah.
There was many times when our homework assignment, the discussion that took place then took the entire time, but that's where the most value was gained. And so people are sharing real life experiences about how when they applied that principle of leadership, it made them better. Doesn't have to be hard.
I love that. I love that you guys do that weekly.
You
And
bet.
it's consistent, and it sounds like it's been for a very long time that you guys have had that. Well, that's how you keep high level managers, and if you have high level managers bringing on those principles, that's how you can keep your team members at a 90% retention rate with hundreds of employees.
Yeah, that's right. Go back to your original question. That's why our retention is high, is because we have leaders in our business that have been developed and they understand how to communicate and listen. And then you think about the time spent in that leadership development class, they've learned how to row the boat together, right? There's synergy. And so we got each other's back
Yeah.
because we're going to succeed together.
Okay, so let's pivot over to something that's coming down the pipeline, or it's already here, and that's AI. What's your thoughts on that? Like, what's the first thing that comes to mind? We're at an AI conference, so
I think it's fascinating. I absolutely love it. But here's where my caution is. There's so many different choices out there as far as products in AI, and there's some amazing stuff. But here's the caution. Don't go out and buy every single AI tool you can find and take it home and say, we're going to be better now. Because unless you have the team that can implement that tool, Rilla, for example, I think Rilla is amazing. This is a plug for team here.
yeah.
The things that, I mean, you want to talk about this demo we did today? I'm hanging out on the car. I mean, really quickly, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So they bring in this new hands-free ride-along coaching tool. They got me sitting in this arcade machine right here. I'm driving this car talking, what'd they call his name?
Rick.
Rick.
Yeah, Rick.
Rick
I'm
AI.
talking
Rick
to Rick
AI.
AI on the phone here and on my headset while I'm driving this arcade game, and I win the game. And I'm talking to Rick. I'm like, holy cow, I won. It's like I'm making comments.
Yeah.
And AI Rick is saying, congratulations on your win. And here's the answer to your question you just asked. Like the AI is multitasking while I'm doing a ride along, driving an arcade all at the same time. It was really cool.
That is cool.
Anyway, I think Rilla is amazing, but here's what I'll say. Don't sign up for AI or for Rilla or for any of these if you're not going to put the work in to use it as a tool properly.
Well, I almost feel like this goes back to something him and I talk about a lot, which is optimize, delegate, automate, and delegate. Yeah, I put that backwards.
Optimize, automate,
Because if you
and delegate.
if you add AI, and most of these are not inexpensive tools to a crappy process with no training,
It turns
you're
real
just going to
crap.
have more crap that's going to sit there, and you'll be like, I don't know what to do next.
Yeah, I talk to all these guys. I talk to Same Day AI. If you want to talk to Aaron over there,
Oh,
let
yeah.
me know. Chirp is really cool. You've got Justin and Ryan here have a booth here. I mean, Rilla's there's so many. I mean,
There
go
really
on
is.
and on and talk about them, and I think they're great. But you could also,
If you have bad processes and you throw AI on top of bad processes, now you have an automated bad process.
yeah, don't think it's going to fix your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it will enhance some processes in your business if done well.
Yeah. And it can also bring to light some issues that you may have.
Issues that you don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's the thing that I really took away from some of the stuff that was in the main theater and just Rilla and Lace and some of these other analysis tools is that data. We're finally able in the trades to see what's going on at fingertips. Like literally, we can see what's going on, what our best performers doing, what our worst performers doing, and we can coach. We can actually get to the coaching instead of just okay, let's run these spreadsheets. I mean, you share that story about the spreadsheets that you had to do back in like the 08 or 9 or wherever
In the
it was.
BDR times,
Yeah.
we had the 8 for 10 report, and that report, I mean, I had to every single day I had to pull in, okay, get on the GPS and say, all right, they arrived at this time, they left at this time, this is their total hours, this is how many, this is their sold time. And so I was like, man, I feel like I'm repeating myself every single day. So then I figured out how to build an automation that pulled all that information into Excel spreadsheet and then move it from one sheet to the other. that's what started my snowball into AI and automation. And that was in 07, 08. And so it's been a long love and hate relationship that I've had with automation.
Once you start to really understand the AIs, the automations, example this, you mentioned Lace. They got me thinking. I was hanging out with Tommy Mello at his house on Super Bowl Sunday, and there's food everywhere and the game's on, and we're in the back room having a conversation about Lace AI.
Talk business.
Tommy's excited, but you heard him on stage today talking about the improvement it's made to his business, the ability it's given him to increase revenue.
Yeah, what's the
That's
percentage?
what the tools are for.
So Boris told us, we were actually at the BDR event and we ran into Boris, and he said that for every 1% increase in call conversion for Tommy's business, it was $2.4 million.
Insane.
I think it's actually up to 3. Boris told me today, but either way, I mean, obviously that's a big scale, right? But even on a small scale, that's no extra marketing dollars. It's no extra employee. It's literally just what's coming
Your
in now. And I
existing
think
calls.
that's the big thing, because that's how we eat away at our profit, is we throw a ton of money at ads, and we just keep throwing money at marketing and all these different things, and we don't enhance what we already have.
Dustin, I don't know if you know this or not, but Josh and I built a little, like a baby sister to Lace called Phone Tap. We built it simultaneously, not knowing that they were building it, but we intentionally built it for the smaller contractors. So it's like one guy in the truck up to like 3 or right up to 4 CSRs. And then at the 4 CSR, Lace is that's where they shine and take over. But yeah, and it was the same exact thought process that we had whenever we were coming up with it. That, and Josh was getting a lot of questions like from contractors, like, "Hey, I need more leads coming in. We need more leads." And he had,
and we report on their booking rates because we have a human team that's listening to those. And like the average for HVAC, and this is across 100 and some odd clients, but it's like 52.4% booking rate of qualified leads. And they all think it's 80%, or you know, they have answering services, and they all think they're doing okay. And I'm like, they're not. You're wasting a ton of money right now.
So my advice on that topic is I encourage and I caution.
Yeah.
Don't get in over your head. Don't chase shiny objects. Educate yourself carefully. Don't spend the budget just because it looks cool. But yeah, it's really cool, and go find some tools that work great for your business, but don't get them unless you're going to use them well.
Do you have some advice? Because there's a lot, and we're in a room where there's a lot of where, if they wanted to add a tool, where they should prioritize, or how they should prioritize what tool or what thing to bring on.
That's a great question. We're surrounded by successful business operators, and you know, I've heard people say go to people and rob and duplicate. I have a different view of that. People can come to my shop anytime they want, and I will personally take you on a 6-hour tour and show you everything. It's a coaching tour because we want you to take some stuff home and make your business better. There are people that are willing to open their doors every single day. I've been to Tommy's shop for tours several times, and many others. Go and let people show you what they're doing that's helped them find success. So you're going, instead of rob and duplicate, go learn and innovate.
Oh,
because
that's
they're
good.
handing it to you.
Yeah,
right?
that's good.
Let's go learn stuff. Let's innovate. But where do you learn the best stuff? From the people that have done it the best.
Yeah.
Right?
Would you, because Josh and I have talked about this in the past, would you recommend, like, if a guy is like, let's say he's $1 million to $3 million, is it smart for him to come to Any Hour, or should he go to like a $5 million company? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Because there's walls, and like Any Hour, you get there and you're like, oh, I am such a failure.
I believe people will get more coming to visit our shop than they will anywhere else.
Okay.
Is that?
It is impressive. I bet. Have you been there?
No, I haven't.
No, I've been there. I've been there. It's impressive.
No,
I don't
notice,
believe you.
Notice
So.
what I said there. I think there are really strong shops that can offer so much to people, but I have such confidence in our business that I personally believe that's where they'll find the best learning opportunity. But it's the same with anything. You know, we were talking recruiting earlier. I would go out. I did the recruiting for a lot of years with Any Hour, and I would go up to any technician anywhere in the town and say, guys, you got to come work for Anywhere. There is nowhere better in this state or in this country than working for Any Hour services.
You mentioned
I have that conviction.
You mentioned earlier you should always be recruiting. Do you have any like guerrilla marketing tactics?
Yeah.
That could you share them?
Sure.
Okay.
It takes getting out of your comfort zone. The good thing is I don't really have a comfort zone. One of my favorites. I'm always recruiting. I still do. I get phone numbers from waiters and waitresses and whoever, wherever I go. But one of my favorites was you can go hang out at the supply houses, but at the supply house, people are in a hurry to get done and get to their job, right?
The good ones.
But the good ones, right? But they all stop at the local gas station right next to the supply house because
Oh,
they
yeah.
need to get a cold drink and a donut. Correct. And so what I always like to do is I'd go to there's always a popular gas station. Doesn't matter what state you're
Yep.
in. For us, it's Maverick. I'd go to Maverick, the ones right by the supply house, and I'd sit in my truck with the window down. Well, no, I would drive right up next to the service trucks. They'd be the gas pump, and just lean out the window and say, "Hey, what do people do when you roll your window down and lean out and say, hey?"
You,
They
hey,
walk up
what's up?
to your window,
Yeah.
and they want to know why you're calling them over. So I'd call them over, and I'd talk to technicians. I could go out, and I remember because people wanted to understand the success rate. So I'd go out, and in 30 minutes time, because there's that rush time in the morning where in 30 minutes you might see 20 technicians.
Oh, yeah.
In 30 minutes, I got, I think, 11 phone numbers from qualified technicians that were running calls that day. You talk guerrilla warfare, you just got to be willing to do whatever it takes. I've followed tech trucks all the way to their customer's house and approached them on the sidewalk in front of their customer's house. I've followed them all the way into their driveway at home, right? You just have to be willing to do the things that most people might see as uncomfortable, but the best technicians are already working for somebody.
That's an absolutely great point, because it's so true. Because, we put out hiring ads, a lot of times some people are looking because they're unhappy and they are working, but a lot of times they're looking because they need a job.
Fun story about recruiting. It's fun to do in teams, right? So I was with my buddy Josh. He manages our recruiting program now. I was with him on an out-of-town experience, whatever, one of these things in Scottsdale. And I said, hey, Josh, you want to go do some recruiting? So we have a partner in that area, right? One of our partner companies. And I said, this sounds fun. Let's go hit the streets. So we went out driving around, and it's fun as a team because you can play games, right? So we're looking for service trucks. We see one at the gas station. We hurry and flip a U, and we drive back over to the gas station. It looks like it's an HVAC truck. You look in the windows to see the gauges hanging or whatever. And I said, Josh, that's an HVAC truck. Let's get this one. I pulled up. I blocked the truck in. Maybe I'm going a little extreme here, but I parked right behind this truck, and I said, Josh, get out and go talk to that guy. Anyway, long story short, we ended up buying him a Monster, hanging out, talking for a little while. We get him set up for an appointment to go hang out with our partner company, AC by J, there in Scottsdale. And just got a report. He's been there now for almost 2 years, this guy that we met at the gas station. And I just got a report that he is their top-selling technician at this point.
No freaking way. That is cool. That's an awesome story.
You just have to get uncomfortable. The best things in life come from being uncomfortable.
Yeah. And it's funny because you hear that stuff, but until you actually do it and experience it, that's the when the magic happens, is just doing it, starting and trying to get, not failing and stopping.
If people want to come ride with me, I'll totally block somebody and make you get out and do it. So let's come do a ride along with me. It'll be fun.
There you go. A real ride along, not a real AI ride along. So we're coming up on our time. I know you got to speak here later today, but with private equity, we want to talk about this a little bit in private equity in the space. I guess we assume that you guys probably talk to other people and know other people in the space. What does that look? I mean, we're 2025 now, so let's say by between now and 2030, obviously we know things can change with pandemics and everything else that comes in. But where do you see that now from your seat?
As far as opportunity in the private equity world,
Opportunity, if there's anything
Do we
that's
stick
coming
around with it, or do we avoid it, or?
my honest opinion is it's stronger than ever. We just went through COVID, and the investment world saw how stable and profitable our industry is, and they want in.
If you didn't make money in 2020, 2021, I don't
Right.
know. I don't know. You shouldn't be in business.
So
we made crazy money in those times.
that's right. There's investors that want to be a part of our industry because we have demonstrated that it's a very lucrative industry and that it's stable. We're not going out of business in a bad economy. People still need to fix their stuff. It might go through some ups and downs, but it's here to stay. And, you go back to my first story about being just a service tech. Oh my gosh, how
Dude,
much advantage do we have? Like, this is a powerful
Yeah.
industry to be in.
It was
Being
crazy.
a service tech
seeing
is
that.
awesome.
During that time, I remember it was like, yeah, we're not just plumbers anymore.
Oh no.
We're not just
The game has
guys.
changed.
For the first time. And if there's any positivity in a negative, tragic situation, it was the fact that, because movies have long played the plumber with the ass crack hanging out and like, oh, you don't want to be a plumber. But now it's it's a valued thing. And kids, Gen Z, are starting to push to go to. They don't want to go to college. They want to do work in the trades. Like our Tersh and I talk about. So I got a almost 17-year-old at home, and he's in a program called EVIT in Arizona, and is in auto mechanics. We're talking about auto mechanics and working with their hands, and he's just got that aptitude. He loves doing it. Like, it's just what he loves to do. He loves working on his car and tinkering with it and stuff like that. And
He didn't get that from you.
no, he didn't. I would love to get hit. Like, that's for me. I'm like, I would love to at some point get him into the trade somewhere, because there's just so many
good way to go.
opportunities, and so many opportunities to run your own business or be a manager, just be a great technician and make great money and have a great life.
So here's my caution. We're talking private equity. Yes, I think it's strong. Yes, I think there's fantastic opportunities. But just like some of the other topics we've covered, it really comes down to having a thorough education, because they're not all the same.
Yes,
There's
you're right.
neither
That's-
right nor
we
wrong,
talk about that a
good nor
lot.
bad. They're
Yeah.
just different. You hear some of these stories about somebody walking away feeling like they had a bad experience.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
ripped off.
and I don't think that they were ripped off. They made a decision with limited understanding.
Didn't read the
Or
instructions.
maybe they wanted to retire and they were just
Yeah.
done, and they just gave it away and didn't realize what they were doing.
They're handing out, there's millions of dollars to be made, and you look at the different offers you get. You might find that 10 million makes you happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise, and 11 million makes you miserable. Right?
Why would that be the case? Why would you say that?
You need to educate yourself on the options and opportunities and partnerships that are there.
Oh, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I
Is
understand.
they might
Yeah.
choose. They might not realize they made a choice with a company that might come in and make a bunch of changes that disrupts the business. That might make them feel kind of sad inside.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's their
so-
baby, it's
Or
got
they
their
treat the
name
employees
apart,
like crap, or they get rid of them all. I've seen those
burn
things
through
happen quite
client
a bit.
list.
I know for us, we got into private equity 3.5, almost 4 years ago. And the whole reason we decided to do a platform as a group, and that's a whole nother podcast we could cover if you wanted to. We did a lot of interviews with other private equity companies. They came through our business. Now we were super cautious because we care about we've talked about our culture and we've talked about retention. These people, we care about the people in our business. And we were uncomfortable with the idea of the disruption that may come from a private equity coming in and doing some changes. So we did a lot of research. We chose not to join any of those, not because they were bad or good. It's irrelevant. They just are what they are. But we decided that to be able to give the best experience to our employees and then also to others was we could create our own and build it the way we felt we didn't quite find, right? And that's to build businesses, maintaining relationships, creating an experience where people can be a part of a team and continue to build their business with us. That's our goal.
Tersh, I want to talk about something that's a hot topic in the digital marketing space: missed calls. You were telling me the other day you have a unique way of making sure 100% of your calls are answered. What the heck are you doing?
It's actually really cool. So, we always talk about AI and automation. Well, now I don't have to worry about missed calls anymore because we use Avoca.ai, and it's an AI voice agent. And every time a phone call comes in and say one of our CSRs are busy or even after hours, we've actually completely done away with after hours call center. Avoca picks up the phone and it announces that it's an AI agent. Her name's actually Sarah, and she's really cool. And it's great because every time you get a conversation going, and that entire conversation is transcribed and gets sent to Slack, text message, or onto their dashboard. And then if some of the CRMs that we're using out there, actually you can book the call through the CRM as well. So that's a really cool thing too. So, honestly, if anybody hasn't checked this out already, www.avoca.ai.
So, guys, if these problems are yours and you want to fix them, head over to www.avoca.ai and discover how they're helping service businesses like yours maximize every lead that you get.
Thank you to Company Cam for supporting today's episode.
These guys are changing the game for contractors with their smart photo app.
Keep your projects documented and streamline your team's communication with even your most complicated jobs.
Try it for free for 14 days and get 25% off of your first 2 months at companycam.com/SBM.
Can you share the mindset of pivoting from, hey, we may sell the company, we may, have a PE or VC money come in and take over any hour, to now we're going to start doing this ourselves? Because almost as a business owner, Josh and I, we own multiple businesses, and it's like you get in there and you have the mindset of like, all right, we're selling. It kind of changes your mindset on things a little bit. You prepare things a little different. You react to things a little bit different, and then all of a sudden you go from, all right, we're selling, to now we're just going to start acquiring. Like it feels like a different, like a completely different pivot. Can you explain that?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Kind of.
It feels like you're giving away something, or you're losing something. You're losing your leg. You're losing one of your kids that you raised. To now we're going to start buying other people's kids.
That's one way to put it.
That's one way to put it.
That was really strange.
There's no
question.
human trafficking on this show, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Well, let me try to answer that.
Yeah. The way to throw a curveball in there.
The way we structured Any Hour Group is we wanted to create a real relationship with the business owners that, you can call it a sale. It's a transaction. But ultimately, we're offering them an opportunity to reinvest with us in the Any Hour Group portfolio company.
So
we become real partners.
They're staying on board. They're not like,
correct,
here's the keys to the door, we're gone.
Now, there is opportunity to join the team, invest with us, and be a little less involved. That's fine. But whether they're in the Caribbean half the time and back at home half the time, we want their influence because they shape the business and they're a part of the culture, right? They don't need to stay and be the manager or the operator necessarily, as long as there's a team there that can handle it, right? But we do care about the people that we bring into the business. And this is much like our recruiting conversation. We take a similar mindset with looking for partners. We're screening people and we're trying to decide, is this a good fit
Who would be
for
a
our
good
team?
fit? Yeah.
There's three things I'm all personally looking for when I talk to businesses. And first and foremost, I just want to see if we're going to enjoy working together. Are we going to have a relationship that works? Right? Because we're going to be doing some time together. That sounded wrong. We're going to be hanging out together.
So
right?
this segment is derailing fast.
We're going to be hanging out together, so let's be friends, right?
Yeah, right.
Once I know we can be friends, second thing is I want to make sure that the people that join the team, much like in our business building, the people we choose, I want to make sure we're a contribution to each other, or we can actually make each other better.
Yeah, that's an
Right.
admirable outlook at it.
Yeah.
Because usually you feel like you're like, all right, if they're not winning everything, then they're not interested. You know what I mean? And that feels very different from some of the conversations that I've had in the past.
Yeah. Well, if we can find alignment on 1 and 2, relationship and contribution, then let's talk money. And if it's a win-win, we can probably find a way to make it work. But we're not just looking to pull balance sheets together. And some of them are, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? But that's where that education is so important. Do you want to just be a balance sheet, or do you want to be a part of a team?
Who do we lean on for that education?
There's a lot of people you can talk to, several of them
Specific-
here.
Like, so you have specific people. I guess what I'm saying is, like, are there roles? Is there like a job position that there's a guy we interviewed a couple years ago that he's in Atlanta, and all he does audits on businesses. He's not a business broker, but he works for the actual company that's selling the company. And so he goes in and shows you all your valuations and things like that. Yes or no?
Those guys are going to help you understand your financials so you can have a clear perspective over your valuation. That's great. I mean, you really should make sure your books are clean and you understand what your business is worth. But more than that, it's an education and understanding of who you're going to enjoy doing it with and what that journey is going to be like. You really should, if you're considering doing this with your business, talk to the other businesses that have joined that platform. Are they happy?
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Talk to people like myself, and there's several others, and I think you should talk not just to myself, but the other groups that are out there as well. I'm friends with lots of them. They're good people. They're going to tell you the answers you're looking for. No,
Yeah, I don't know.
no, they're hold on.
They're going to answer
They're
your
going to
question.
answer your questions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're good people.
Yeah.
They just have their business model, and there are some slight differences between theirs and ours, and that's great. And that's why you need the education, because ultimately this is one of the biggest decisions you're ever going to make in your life.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right. It
Well,
really
that's-
is. Yeah.
If you don't know what you're getting into, and you could get your, because we've all seen and heard the horror stories, and I'm sure you've heard even more than we have, just because you know these people and some of the transactions that happen.
And they all come down to lack of diligence and understanding what they're getting into. It's not that anyone did anything wrong to them.
Yeah.
They just didn't understand the
It's
fine
clearly
print.
written in the fine print of
right.
exactly what's going to happen. But they were in such a rush because we know personally, we know some people who were in a rush to get out because they had massive debt, like $1 million a month debt, and they were like, we got to get out of this or else we have one hiccup, we're bankrupt. And then next thing you know, they're in a worse situation than what they were before then. It's like, man, this is tough.
And none of us like to hear
No,
that.
yeah, absolutely not.
And that's where it comes down to your diligence. I mean,
Yeah.
I would happily give you, well, I don't know if I want to say this, they might get mad at me, but I would really give you the phone number to every partner that's joined our team. And I'm confident if you called them, you'd find that they
They were
might
satisfied.
say things like, man, it's been hard work.
Yeah.
It maybe been a little different than I expected, but ultimately I'm really happy with my decision. I'd have confidence you'd have a good experience talking to them.
Yeah, that's a huge thing to
Yeah,
be able to
we've-
say that. Yeah.
We've gone way over our time. We
It's because we're having fun.
It is really. Honestly, it's been a great conversation. Dustin Van Horn.
No, you got it wrong the second time too.
I think he did that on purpose that
He
time.
did, I think.
He looks
I
like he did
did.
anyways. You will forever be known as Dustin Van Horn now, just so you know.
No, I'm totally kidding. So we really do appreciate you coming and spending time with us because I mean, there's so much stuff you could be doing at this event, and I mean, heck, you missed out on
Nick Saban.
yeah, Coach Nick.
Oh, I got a little bit at the beginning.
Yeah. So if anybody is interested in coming and hanging out at any hour, what's the best way to do it properly?
Honestly, call me directly.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
All right. And can we just put your number in the show notes?
Let's put you on it right now on
Sure,
the air
that's
too,
fine.
whatever.
That's fine too.
All right, put it in the notes. But yeah, it's area code 801-787-3546. That's my direct number. Anyone can call. Anyone's invited. Come for a visit, and you don't have to be looking to sell your business to come to any hour. It's open door policy. We've done it for years, long before we did private equity and started building the any hour group. We've had people coming.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine, John Wimman. He came and he was like, we meet typically on Fridays for like a mastermind, and he's like, man, they got it going on. He's like all these things. He was very impressed, and everybody I've talked to that's been there.
Well, I think it's valuable to like get outside because
Yeah.
you think you're doing well or your struggles aren't really that important or something. But you go to like a big company, you see everything going on. You're like, oh, there's so much more. There's so much more to what I can be doing, and it almost kind of like can remotivate you to like get back in and get roll the sleeves up and start working again.
I'll tell you what, if you guys want, I hold tour opportunities pretty regularly. I have one coming up April 30th. I've got a few others scheduled as well, but let's pick one of these dates in the next couple of months. If you guys want to come out and actually host your podcast there and interview some of the people that are there for the tour,
That'd be cool.
that would be cool.
Yeah.
there's your invitation.
Yeah, I
Take it or
appreciate
leave it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we appreciate that.
It's live now or whatever. Now you got to do it.
Yeah,
right?
it's on
As long as
record.
you're not gonna make us go recruit people.
Yeah. Tell you what, we could. That'd be fun.
I mean, we could do that, I guess. Yeah.
Dustin, we really appreciate you hanging out with us. We'll talk again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit servicebusinessmastery.com to learn more.